Okay, so have you ever gone down one of those internet rabbit holes
Oh, yeah.
where you just, you start clicking on something and the next thing you know, it's like 3 hours later?
Absolutely.
You're convinced you've uncovered some like huge secret truth of the universe or something like that.
I think we've all been there.
And one of those, for a lot of people, early on in the days of like the internet really going mainstream, was this question of who is this man?
Yeah.
And it sounds so simple, right?
Right.
But it turned into this like global mystery fascination, and it all revolved around something called the Ever Dream of This Man project.
It really is interesting how something so simple
Hmm.
can really capture the imagination of so many people. And it really speaks to, I think, that human desire to try and understand things that we can't explain.
Totally. And I think that's one of the things that's so fascinating about this story, because it really does tap into that like primal kind of curiosity we have about, the unknown, and especially about like shared experiences. And I guess to kind of set the stage for people who maybe haven't gone down this particular rabbit hole, this whole thing started back in 2008.
Mhm.
Um, and there was this website that just kind of appeared seemingly out of nowhere called Ever Dream of This Man.
And even the name of the website itself is kind of creepy, right?
Yeah, it's like a little bit
Like it
ominous.
makes you lean in and kind of go, what is this?
Exactly. And when you went to the website, it was so simple.
Yeah.
It was like stark almost,
Yeah.
just black and white.
There's just a white background. And this sketch.
And this one image, this sketch of a man, and he wasn't like strikingly handsome. He wasn't grotesque or anything. He was just kind of
Like oddly average looking.
yeah. And I think that's part of what made it so unnerving for people, because I was like, oh, I feel like I've seen that guy, but I can't place it.
Right. Like he looks so familiar, but you just can't quite put your finger on it.
Yeah, and so the basic premise of the website was that this sketch of this man was appearing in the dreams of people all over the world,
Right.
and they were asking people like, "Hey, have you seen this guy in your dreams?"
And I think that's what really started to make people kind of sit up and pay attention, because it was like, wait a minute, other people are dreaming about this same guy.
Yeah, and it wasn't just like a handful of people.
Right, it was hundreds.
Hundreds of people from all over the world, different cultures, different backgrounds, different everything, were all reporting that they had seen this face in their dreams. And so the immediate question that everyone had was, how is that even possible?
Right, like how could so many people be having the same dream?
Yeah.
Especially when dreams are supposed to be these like really personal, subjective experiences.
And that's where the internet, I think, really comes into play, because what happens is this story starts spreading
Oh, yeah.
like wildfire, and people are coming up with all these different
Yeah.
theories.
Yeah, you had everything from like coincidence to mass suggestion, psychological phenomenon. Even some people were talking about like hidden government projects or subliminal messaging. Like it was all over the map.
It was like the Wild West of internet speculation.
Exactly.
And so you have all this discussion happening, and the more people talk about it, the more people are like, wait a minute, maybe I have seen that guy.
Right. Because it's like the more you hear about something, the more likely you are to start seeing it everywhere.
Yeah.
Right. It's like that Bader-Meinhof phenomenon.
Exactly. And so it really created this kind of feedback loop where the more people talked about it, the more real it seemed, even though there wasn't any like actual evidence.
And I think that's one of the things that's so interesting about this whole phenomenon is that it really highlights how quickly a story can spread online
Hmm.
and how quickly it can take on a life of its own, even if it's based on nothing concrete.
And it was really picking up steam too. Like it wasn't just like, a couple of message boards and things. It was starting to get picked up by news outlets.
Right.
And so it really felt like there was this like big mystery unfolding, and nobody could figure out what was going on.
Yeah, it was like one of those things that was just so strange and so unexplainable that it just kind of sucked you in.
And I think that's why it resonated so deeply with so many people, because it felt like something new. It felt like we were on the verge of uncovering something really profound about the nature of reality or the human mind or something like that.
And it was really tapping into that kind of like collective unconscious idea. Like, is there something that connects us all on a deeper level?
Exactly. And of course, as we often see with these kinds of like viral internet sensations, there was a twist.
Yeah, there always is, right?
And so in 2010, a couple of years after this website first appeared, the truth about this man came out. And it turned out that it wasn't some mysterious dream entity.
Yep.
It was a marketing campaign.
A very clever one.
Yeah, orchestrated by an Italian marketer named Andrea Natella.
And the really interesting thing here is that the face itself wasn't even based on a real person.
It was like computer generated.
Yeah, it was designed to be as average and as nondescript as possible.
And so the whole Ever Dream of This Man project was actually an example of what's called guerrilla marketing.
Right. Which is basically this kind of unconventional marketing strategy that's all about creating buzz and getting people talking.
And so the fact that this whole thing was a marketing campaign kind of makes you reevaluate the whole experience.
It does, right?
Yeah.
Like it makes you question how much of what we experience online is real and how much of it is just manufactured.
And it's kind of unsettling, too, because it shows just how easily we can be manipulated.
Right. Like it makes you wonder what other things we believe that might not actually be true.
Exactly. And so even though the mystery of this man was solved, it still raises a lot of interesting questions about the nature of shared experiences and the power of suggestion.
Yeah, and it also makes you think about the role of the internet in shaping our beliefs and our perceptions of reality.
And I think that's something that's really important to be aware of in today's world, especially because we're constantly bombarded with information from all directions.
Right. And it's not always easy to tell what's real and what's not.
And so the next time you find yourself going down an internet rabbit hole, it's always good to take a step back and ask yourself,
Right.
is this real? Or am I being manipulated?
Or is it something in between?
Right, because sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction,
And sometimes it's just fiction.
and sometimes it's a really clever marketing campaign.
That makes you think.
Exactly.
And that's maybe the most unsettling part of it all.
It really is.
Because it makes you wonder what other stories are out there that we all believe that are just as fabricated.
Food for thought, right?
Definitely.
So we've got this image, this computer-generated image of a man,
Yeah.
and hundreds of people are convinced they've seen him in their dreams.
It's wild.
What do you think were some of the key psychological factors that were at play here?
Well, I think one of the things that Andrea Nutella was really smart about was that he tapped into our natural tendency to see patterns,
No.
even where they don't
It's
exist.
pareidolia, right?
Exactly like when we see faces in clouds or,
Oh.
Jesus on a piece of toast.
It's like our brains are wired to look for meaning.
And so when you have this image that's kind of ambiguous, it's easy for our brains to fill in the blanks and make it fit what we expect to see.
And then you add in the power of suggestion.
Right. Like if you're told that this guy is appearing in people's dreams, you're more likely to interpret your own dreams in a way that supports that belief.
Especially if you're already primed to believe in things like the paranormal or the supernatural.
Exactly. And then you have the social proof aspect.
Where it's like, if hundreds of other people are saying they've seen this guy, then it must be true.
Right. It's like that whole idea of the wisdom of the crowd.
Yeah, and so you combine all of those things together, and it's no wonder that this story spreads so quickly.
And it's also, I think, a testament to how good of a marketer Andrea Nutella is.
Oh, yeah.
Because he was able to create this whole phenomenon out of thin air.
And I think that's one of the things that makes this story so fascinating, is that it's not just about the mystery of this man. It's also about the power of marketing and the way that it can shape our perceptions of reality.
And the fact that it was all done without spending a ton of money.
Right. It was just this one website and a lot of word of mouth.
Yeah, and that's what's so impressive about it.
So eventually the truth comes out.
Right.
This was all a big marketing stunt.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people were probably disappointed.
I'm sure some people were angry too.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like, they felt like they'd been tricked.
But I think in a way, it's almost more interesting that it was a hoax.
Yeah, because it makes you think about how easily we can be fooled.
And it also says something about the nature of belief.
Right. Like,
Yeah.
why do we believe the things we believe?
And how do we decide what's real and what's not?
And I think those are questions that are more relevant now than ever.
Especially in the age of fake news and misinformation.
Exactly.
So even though this man turned out to be a hoax, I think it's a story that still has a lot to teach us.
And I think it's a story that will continue to fascinate people for years to come.
Yeah, and who knows, maybe this man is still out there somewhere.
In our dreams.
Exactly.
Maybe he's just waiting for us to find him again.
That's a creepy thought.
I know, right?
But it's also kind of exciting.
It is.
Because it means that there's still a lot of mystery left in the world.
And that's a good thing.
It is.
Because it keeps us curious.
And it keeps us searching.
And who knows what we might find along the way.
That's what I love about the internet.
Me too.
It's like this vast, uncharted territory.
Full of possibilities.
And a few rabbit holes.
Oh, yeah. Definitely a few rabbit holes.
But that's part of the fun.
It is.
So if you're ever feeling bored or like you need a little bit of mystery in your life,
Yeah?
just go online.
You never know what you might find.
And who knows, maybe you'll even run into this man.
See dreams.
I think I'll stick to reality for now.
Probably a good idea.
Well, this has been fascinating.
Yeah, I always love talking about this kind of stuff.
Me too. Thanks for joining me.
Of course, it's been a pleasure.
And for everyone listening out there, if you're ever looking for a good rabbit hole to go down,
Yeah.
just search for this man.
You won't be disappointed.
And be sure to let us know if you've ever dreamed of him.
We're always looking for new stories.
Until next time.
Stay curious.
And sleep tight.
Or maybe not.
Okay, maybe not.
I had to.
You got me there.
All right, see you later.
Bye.